Forsberg pulls up for three, boom, knocks it down.
Curry from the corner at three, puts it in. For overtime, makes it Garrett. Right.
Welcome to the MVP cast from me, Mark, who is a great guest for you this time out. One of Great Britain's leading lights and a real rarity, a player developed entirely at home who's worked his way up to making a name for himself abroad as well, both for clubs and for country. Birmingham's finest. With us, it's Myles Hesson. Myles, welcome to the MVP cast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Two big pieces of news in British basketball this past week. So I'll start with the first one here. Love Island. Have you watched it? Would you follow Uvi Soko in doing it if they asked you in the future?
Yeah, I've been watching it. This is actually one of my favourite programs, to be honest. But no, I couldn't see myself going on there. I'm not really a camera person, to be honest.
We're talking just a few hours until before the final on this. What's it like watching someone that you kind of vaguely know on a program as out there as this?
I mean, it's funny. It's good to see because he's being himself in there, and he's a good person, and everyone's getting to see him for who he is, and it's good for him at the end of the day.
How do you how do you think that might impact on British basketball? I haven't watched it, so I'm asking you as a viewer. Will people recognise him coming out? Do you think that people will sort of associate him when he gets back to playing again?
In a superficial way, it might draw some attention to the game and maybe bring a few different followers, maybe, but I don't really see how much effect it will have, other than maybe if he actually does play for Great Britain, the numbers at the game might be way more.
Well, let's get into that next week in Manchester. Eurobasket pre-qualifiers starting the games against Kosovo and Luxembourg. I mean, Ovi is in the squad as well, but that takes us neatly on to the other story of the past week. I mean, Alberto Lorenzo resigning as GB head coach, Nate Reinking coming in to take over. I mean, first, as a player, you're obviously used to changes that happen, but what was your take on that news when you heard it?
Well, I'm prepared for anything really these days when it comes to the national team. So it's a shame to see Alberto go. He's been good for us in the past few years. He's been with us, and I mean, it's good to have Nate back. He's obviously put in his work for the national team as a player and as a assistant coach in the past. So I think he's the perfect man for the job right now.
I mean, you played alongside him a little bit, and then you played under him when he was assistant coach. And give us a little bit of insight into what his attributes are as a coach and what his approach might be.
I mean, if his coaching is anything like his work ethic with basketball, it's going to be really good for all the younger players, especially that have been named in the squad, that didn't really see him as a player. But I mean, he was in the gym before everyone else. He left after everyone else, and hopefully he can bring that same level of preparation when it comes to coaching and help us win these games.
I mean, he'll be kind of the first player, certainly in the modern era, the first former GB player to then go on to coach the national team. I mean, as players, is there any kind of different response to having someone who's followed the same path end up as the person who's the coach?
Yeah, definitely. Especially for players, if a coach has actually played the game at a good level, and well, even in your, I'd say, lifetime, you'd be able to see that player actually out there on the court. So the stuff that he's going to tell you now, you can kind of understand and appreciate more because he's actually been out and done it.
You came through. I mean, let's talk about your journey. Not dissimilar to Nate in that he started very much domestically his career at a professional level, but you started your career completely. City of Birmingham, I think it was then the A's, now the Rockets. And I remember last year speaking to the two of the main guys, Rob Palmer and Kirk Dawes, and they speak with a lot of pride about you coming through that club and the fact that you're a product of their system, and that not just what they do in basketball is important there, but they spend a lot of time in the impact they can make off the court. I mean, how much did that experience kind of shape and develop you both as a player and as a person as well?
I mean, well, that's where I started at the City of Birmingham with Rob Palmer. As a youngster, I started there when I was 14, I think, and I played there up until the age of 18. And the A's is actually a different club based in Birmingham, and that's run by Nigel Hansen and Stephen Hansel, a former GB player, in fact, and I owe a lot of my development to both of those teams, but especially to Stephen Hansel, just because at the time when he came back, he was still a professional playing overseas, and we worked out all the time, and he really took me under his wing and really developed my game from being an under 18 player to being a men's player. So I owe a lot to the city of Birmingham and the A's in that respect.
How much of what did Steve do specifically? Because I suppose the good fortune is to have someone like him who knew the ins and outs of the game, how you develop yourself. I mean, what did he do with you that you think maybe allowed you to overcome not going to college and not going off to a European club in that developmental phase?
I mean, at the time, I didn't know anything about the European game, and I really wanted to go to college in America, but I had no way of getting over there at the time. So, playing for the A's was the next best thing for me to do, especially under the tutelage of Stephen Hansel, because he's a professional, so he knows what type of work you have to put in, how to work out properly, and I think he really just developed me in a way that he told me what to do, and I went out and listened, and I did it and put it into practice, and then I just kept getting better and better.
I think the thought was always there, wasn't it, to go to college? But what was in the end, what was the blockade that stopped that?
It's just having the help to be able to get over there, really. At the time, I wasn't playing for any of the national teams, like the under-18s England. The first national team I played with was the under-20s Great Britain team. So I didn't really have a name for myself like that. And just getting over there in that time, back in, when was that, 2008? Yeah, 2008, 2009. It was really difficult trying to organise your SAT test and contacting coaches over there and stuff like that. It just didn't really go to plan.
You showed up at that first GB under-20 camp, and I remember you talking about this later on, is the fact, that you went down there and not many people really knew who you were. You were kind of left field. How much was that maybe an opportunity for you to actually say to people, "Hi, look at me, I can actually play a bit here"?
Yeah, it was a funny story. I only really went because it was in Birmingham. I probably wouldn't have went if it was anywhere else, to be honest. It was just, I had a bit of confidence going into it, just because I knew that it was my hometown, my home court. So anyone that was coming in there had to go through me, to be honest. And that's how I took it every session after that. I just went out there, gave my all, and here I am.
What did you learn from that first camp in terms of playing against your peers, I suppose, to an extent, but also playing with them?
It's a mentality that Steve drummed into me, basically, that I have to, if I go out there, I got to kill every time, like friends or no friends. When we're on the court, it's business. So, you have to do what you can for the team, for the best of the team, and that's what you got to learn to do. You got to learn that have that type of mentality, that you have to do what's best for the team, but also what's best for yourself as well, which is putting the most amount of effort you can.
How much does that come naturally? Because of maybe the fact that you weren't expected to stand out? Is that just, I guess, a part of the natural development that you've had to fit in and be that guy that could be a glue guy or be the role player throughout, that you've really done very well throughout your career?
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. I've got 3 older brothers. So, I've always been having to fight for everything that I get, you know what I mean? So it's no different when it comes to basketball. I do the dirty work, and as I developed, I developed more of a basketball game, where I was shooting, passing, and all that type of skill stuff. But started off just being really that guy that would go out there, play defense, rebound, and do all the little things, set screens.
So it's the upside of that youngest child syndrome.
Yeah, something like that.
You went on from that. You go into the BBL, you go to Essex Pirates, and that's those kind of first shot at the professional ranks. At that time, did you foresee that as a kind of shot in the dark, or did you always think this could be a first step to something bigger, better, a longer career?
I mean, after playing two two summers with the national team under Tim Lewis, I mean, we sat down and spoke a few times about what I wanted to do with basketball and where I wanted to go. And yeah, like he advised me to come down there and play for him as a stepping stone. And I mean, it worked out really. I went down there. I didn't really have the best season. I was troubled with injury for a lot of that. I think I only played 11 games, but in that time I was able to see what a professional environment was about, which really set me up well in the long run.
And then you go up to Mersey Tigers, and obviously, that's as a program there, that there were bigger players coming in. But I mean, again, is that something that maybe stands out in terms of a point where you could figure where to make your mark amongst more experienced players?
Yeah, I mean, I fit in wherever I can. Well, at that stage, just try and learn from all the guys that have been there before me and done it before. So yeah, I playing with David Aliu. That was a really good experience, and a few of the younger guys there as well. We all took things away from that season.
7 years ago, the Olympics were going on, and people kind of still forget about, or still can't forget about that. But GB were preparing for that Olympics, and they have their training camp in Houston. There's a few injuries, and out of the blue, you get this call to come over. I mean, how much did that opportunity impact to go over there, play amongst some of the best guys that we've ever had in a camp situation, with the Olympics just a few months away?
I mean, that was incredible. Like, even to this day, I still remember that call. And yeah, invaluable to me, experience-wise, playing against those guys in practice and just seeing how they practice and how they go about the game. That was the best thing for me.
Was there an intimidation factor walking into that camp?
Yeah, I was a bit nervous because I didn't really know what to expect. But obviously, with anything, if a little bit of nerves isn't bad, as long as you don't let the nerves get you down and you rise to the occasion, which I did on most occasions, I think.
When you look at the guys over there, I mean, Luol, Pops, the list goes on. I mean, did you consciously at the stage that you were at then take little things or note little things that they were doing?
Yeah, it was more mental notes than like actual physical notes. But yeah, like just seeing how they approach everything, to recovery, practice, shots afterwards, shots before, all that type of stuff. All the professionals they've all got their different habits, and it was really good to learn from those guys.
I mean, you made your debut during that in the friendly that they played against Nigeria. And obviously, the Olympics making that final 12 was always maybe a long shot. But was that the point? Did you maybe start to dream a bit bigger coming out of playing in that kind of environment and, that sort of feeling, I guess, that was amongst that group?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't want it to end, so I knew I had to put in work and then make it the next year and go from there and just keep putting in work. That's my mentality going into everything.
We talked about the unusual pathway that you've had. I mean, and you, I guess you could say you weren't the overnight success, but you to now reaching incredible success. But you go to Germany in Pro B, you get a shop in the top tier BBL in Germany, back to Pro A, a longer stint then, and back to the BBL. I mean, was there a strategy when you went to Germany, or was this just a sort of gamble to go, look, let's give this a crack and see where I end up?
It was a big gamble that worked out, really. I mean, all credit to Tim Lewis at the time. He was coaching out there, and I actually didn't know where he was, to be honest. I sent out an email to a lot of coaches after the summer I had with I can't remember what summer it was. It might have been 2012. Yeah, I think it was that summer. I sent out an email to all the coaches, all the GB guys. I think only Nick Nurse got back to me, and Tim Lewis got back to me. Nick told me that he wished he could help, and if he could help in the future that he would, but he didn't have anything for me. And Tim Lewis actually, he said, hey, we got 2 games coming up on the weekend, one for the Pro B side that I'm coaching and one for the BBL team that I might be able to get you to play in, because they've got a lot of injuries. It's pre-season. If you can come out here tomorrow, then then you could play in them, but there's no guarantee of anything. And but yeah, so I had a contract to sign in the BBL again for the upcoming season. That day, I actually had to sign, but I declined it and went over there, and everything really kind of fell into place. I was on a Pro B team that was a feeder team for a BBL side. So after the first two preseason games that Tim got me to play in, the BBL game I think was the first one against Bayern Munich. So I had no idea going into Germany about anything to do with the German league or the European league. To be honest, I think the only type of European basketball I've seen up until then was the ULEB Cup back in the day when it used to come on Eurosport. So going in there playing against Bayern Munich, I had no idea that it was such a big league and a big occasion. So I didn't really play well. I played maybe 5 minutes, didn't do much. But then the Pro B game was when I really shown what I could do. I had a really good game, and they ended up signing me for the rest of the season, which was, at the time, it was less than half the amount of money I could have made in England. Which, yeah, it wasn't not a lot at all.
But is that sort of, I guess, the thing that maybe a lot of young players don't do, is that you kind of you take the leap of faith and then you back yourself to do it.
Yeah, definitely. When they came to me with the offer, I was a bit surprised because I didn't know that you could get less than what I was probably going to get in England. But I sat down with Tim and spoke about it, and we talked about all the benefits of actually being there and being able to practice with the BBL team as much as I could as well. And I decided to stay there and stick with it.
Was that a fun year to kind of explore the boundaries a little bit in a different environment?
Yeah, it was definitely an eye-opener. Definitely. I mean, the difference between the Pro B and the BBL practices were like black and white, really. It was two different things. I was playing against ex-NBA players, really good college guys, the MVP of the league, in fact. And it was a great level to be able to go into and compete at and see the level that I wanted to attain, and again, see how them guys went about their practice and went about their day-to-day life, really.
Particularly with the BBL team, I mean, you're acclimatising to them. Was there a bit of them acclimatising to a guy who's come out of the British League with not a huge resume and behind him? I mean, any player coming out of Britain, I think, is to be disrespected these days. But I mean, did they have to kind of get used to you being part of their group and trusting in you?
Yeah, because basically on the Pro B side, there was four German guys. One of them actually plays for Boston Celtics now, Daniel Tice.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually never practiced with us. He only played in a few games because he was too good at the time. So there was three other guys that played for the Pro B team, and they got to practice with the BBL team and like sit on the bench and stuff like that. Never really got any minutes, but they basically treated me as one of those guys after a while because I showed that I could play at that level. So it was really going into the BBL practices. It was trying to do enough to earn my respect, but not too much to like piss anybody off at the time. You know what I mean? Because obviously I wasn't a part of the team, so going too hard and injuring anybody, like it was kind of had to find that mid ground of earning your respect, and I did in the end. So I mean, all credit to Tim Lewis and the coach, Torsten Liebnaff. They really looked after me over there.
He used to, of course, coach Glasgow Rocks back in the day before he went back to there. I mean, when you talk about the work ethic that you've had to put in, obviously when you move up a level, there's always more work to be done. But is that work ethic just something that was ingrained in you at home, or is it something that's developed, or where does it come from?
It's definitely something that's developed. I mean, I wasn't always the most energetic guy at practice and stuff like that coming up, but after I saw how professionals actually, what they actually do day to day and how they practice, it's one thing being told something, but it's when you see it for your own eyes, that's when it really sticks in. And since I was 18, 19, when I was working out with with Steve. I mean, since then I've not looked back. I know what I have to do and how I have to do it. And yeah.
What's the value in you in that? I guess that sort of feedback, or you could call it criticism, when coaches come to you, or even other players. I mean, some players get knocked off by it. Some egos can get punctured. Other people embrace it. I mean, what's the value in you when a coach has been able to come up to you and said that's a weakness that you could do with improving?
But that's the difference between good players and great players. Some of the good players, they'll take that criticism and brush it off. Maybe listen to it a little bit, but not do nothing about it. But then great players, they're going to want to work on that until that becomes a strength. And that's something that I've taken on board since working with Steve and all my other coaches after that. I mean, you have to take your coach's advice, and criticism is the same stuff, really. They're only going to say stuff that's going to help. And you just got to keep working towards becoming the best player you can.
I mean, you've been in France ever since you left Germany, and you had a 2-year spell where you weren't playing a lot. I mean, you had 8 months out, 2017, fractured tibia. You come back a few months later, it happens again. I mean, mentally and physically, how do you cope with a spell like that where you can't do the job that you really enjoy doing and want to do?
Mentally, it's really tough to be watching games and wanting to be out there. But I mean, you gotta be smart and understand that there's more to life than just basketball. So, I mean, going out there and trying to play before you're ready and doing all that type of stuff that could risk even bigger issues down the line. I mean, you gotta be smart with it. Listen to the doctors and all that type of stuff. And I mean, it's just like another game. When you're injured, you can't play, so you have to focus on actually getting better and taking that focus that you have for basketball into recovery and understanding your body a little bit more, and just enjoying life as well.
I mean, you say you're discovering more to life than basketball. What did you sort of discover or expand during that period of time?
I mean, it was just understanding, because I'm used to playing basketball every day, really and truly, like going to the gym, putting up shots, working out. And when that's taken away from you, you understand more that there's more to life, really. I don't know, just enjoying where I am. I was enjoying where I was in France. The second time round, I was in Paris. I went out a little bit more and just enjoyed where I was, being able to travel and experience new different cultures, and spend more time with my family also, which was really good.
Marks out of 10 for yourself. How good is your German and how good is your French?
My German, I think I'd forgotten most of that. But my French is quite good. I can understand quite a lot. I can speak a bit. Still need some work, but I was taking classes. My last season, I was taking one class a week, trying to get that up. Hopefully, I'll be fluent in about another year.
So, I mean, you say another year. Obviously, you were at Gravelines Dunkirk last season. You're not re-signed there as yet. What's the kind of update can you give us? What's the plan for next season, if there is any plan emerging?
It's just to find the best fit, really. I mean, last season with Gravelines wasn't really the best fit as far as playing time and all that type of stuff goes. But that's how it is. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. But hopefully, just to find the best fit, whether it's in France or somewhere else, I don't really mind right now. I just want to play basketball and try and win something.
How do you go about that process? I mean, some players will just look at the bottom line that's put on the table. Some people look at fit. I mean, what's your approach to a summer like this, where you're looking for a good landing spot come September time?
I mean, it's tough. Like you can't really turn down every offer you get, or you can't really take the first offer you get. You got to find a midpoint where the money's right, the situation's right, and the team, the coach, all that type of stuff really plays a part. It's not just about the money sometimes, because you might have a good offer money-wise, and then the coach might end up not actually being a good coach for your type of game or whatever type of stuff. So it's really just being able to find that midpoint.
What's the wildest offer you've ever turned down?
The wildest?
Or the wildest approach even, perhaps, that was floated to you?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Was there any particularly exotic destination that you were sounded out about going to or anything like that?
Oh, no, nothing like that for me, really. Just probably Argentina was the furthest out that I've been offered for. But yeah, I didn't really want to take it because it's not guaranteed money over there. And at the time, I was coming off an injury, so I needed a bit more of a, what's the word? I just needed somewhere I knew that they could understand that I needed time to come back, where it wasn't, I had to go in there and produce straight away or I probably wouldn't get my money, you know what I mean?
I mean, we're coming just a few days away from officially the end of your summer. I mean, talk about your summer. Other than working out, what have you been doing this off-season?
I've been on a few holidays, one with the family, one with my friends and all that type of stuff.
Where to? Anywhere exotic?
Spain. I went to Spain twice. I went to Lanzarote and Barcelona.
And how much do you need that after a season? I mean, that's just meant, to mentally decompress and get ready again.
Say that again, sorry.
I said, how much do you need after a long season to have, just let your hair down, get away from basketball for a week or so, or 2 weeks here and there?
For me, it don't really take me that long. I'll get back to working out after a few days of being back home, really. Once I'm home, I'll get to see my family and stuff, so I get to do that for as long as I'm here, and I'll be working out in between as well.
Camp for GB starting. I said Kosovo, Luxembourg. And, the mathematics for people who don't understand. GB finished top of the group. You go into the main qualifiers. GB miss out. They don't play again competitively until 2021. I mean that's a fair bit of pressure on the team going into this window. I mean, how do you guys sort of look at performances of what they've been and say, well, if we've got a reasonably strong roster, we can do this?
I think the ethos of the team now in 2019, I think we found our identity as far as how we should play games, like tempo-wise. And I feel as though there's an air of confidence now in the team that I haven't really seen in previous years. We've had a few wins, a good few wins under our belt. And most of the core guys that have been named on the initial squad have been there for that. So I think we know what it takes to win now. And going into these 2 games against Kosovo, 4 games against Kosovo and Luxembourg, I mean, personally, I think we should win all 4 games, and hopefully that's what we can go out and do.
Does it feel like the kind of... I guess there was an evolution a little bit when the class of 2012 gradually went away. I know there's a few still there like Cal Johnson, Dan Clark, etc. But there was a bit of a change in a transformation period or transition period. Does it feel like now you've got that mix of new players? There is experiencing players like yourself, and maybe this is the point where things move upwards again, and there's a group and a core there that can take this together.
Yeah, definitely. There's more and more players going out into Europe, playing in high leagues, and really experiencing that level of basketball now. So when it comes to the national teams during the summer, we've all seen it now and been there and done it. That's to say. So I think there's a level of confidence and work ethic as a group that they've probably been missing for a few years, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I think we can go into these games very confident as long as we play to our abilities. I don't see us losing these games, hopefully.
I mean, obviously, and this was a kind of comparative with the success of the women. There was, we understand, a discussion within British basketball at board level about the value of this men's team, and certainly the value of the men as role models. I mean, you're someone you've come back to Birmingham, you've worked out with young players, and said that people see your route as aspirational. I wonder if what your thought would be on the fact that people might not see what you and other GB players do as not being of role model caliber.
I mean, it's crazy to think that people would actually think along those lines. Because coming up, if I had the chance to see or even practice with the GB players, men's players, I mean, I would have jumped at the opportunity, because the difference in experience, well, the level of experience that I can come home and share with the young players here, they've probably never seen or never even actually thought about. Because even if you speak to some people that have been around basketball in England for a while about European basketball, not many of them have actually been out there and experienced it. They've probably seen it a bit on YouTube and stuff like that. But to actually be out there and experience it is a whole different thing. So being able to come back and share my experiences and all that type of stuff with young players is something I enjoy doing.
I mean, I mentioned the women. Has that inspired you guys, what they've achieved, that you guys might achieve something like that?
Yeah, definitely. The women have really been taking big steps forward, and hopefully the men can follow suit.
I mean, you're 29 now, and Eurobasket 2013 was the only sort of major tournament that you've been able to participate in. I mean, is that a driving force to play in a tournament? Not just one that you could go to, but one that you guys might have a chance to go and do something special at?
Yeah, definitely. That's always been a big aspiration of mine, even if it's not for me. Even if we lay the foundations now for teams coming into for the younger guys. I mean, that's something that I'd love to do personally, if not for me, for them as well.
Is it strange now when you're talking about the young guys, knowing you're not one of the young guys now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't feel old. It says I'm 29 on paper, but I still feel young. So hopefully I can still be playing for a couple more years.
See, the good thing is now Nick Nurse did say to you that, if you could ever be of help, and you're out of a club at the moment, is this not the time to email Nick Nurse?
Yeah, I should email him, see what he's got available for me.
He's got a few spots at camp. You never know. I mean, last thing, you talked about these being 4 winnable games. I mean, do you think there's a chance to make a statement here? I mean, we talk about, I know we always come back to funding, but they're moving away from that almost. Maybe is this a chance to kind of say, look, this is a team that people should believe in?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've shown that in the last few windows, we've had some good wins. We didn't really, we come up short against Austria, but even going over there and beating them, which is a good side. I mean, it's shown where we can go with the national team. So hopefully we can continue the success and keep going.
And those 2 times, we'll just give you the dates of those just coming over the next couple of weeks. National Basketball Centre is the 10th of August, Saturday, GB against Luxembourg, 7 o'clock tip-off. And then a week later against Kosovo, same venue. You can get those tickets online if you want to go and support the national team. Myles Hesson, a pleasure talking to you as always. The very best of luck with both the GB games and the season ahead. But thanks for coming on the MVP cast this time. Thanks
very much. Thanks for having me.
That's it from this edition of the MVP Cast. You can get all the past editions via your preferred podcast provider or at mvp247.com. You'll get all the summertime news. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. A new edition coming very soon, but from me, Mark Woods, it's goodbye.